Okay, here's Thursday's assignment. Now you're back to solving where you have x to the second power. It's 1x to the second power plus 8x plus 19 equals 0. That's the equation. You can't see it very well, so you're going to find that packet where it reads at. Okay, so there's two answers, okay? And with x squared and x both in this equation, we're going to go to the factoring. I don't want you to do the synthetic division L unless I specifically say to do so, okay? Because you need to not forget how to factor. So I'm looking at this equation and I see, is there a greatest common factor? Well, not really, because we don't have a negative, we don't have x on everything, and 1's the smallest. So we can just forget that. Okay, so then I ABC that, and 1 times 19 is 19, positive. So I'm looking for a sum of 8, but 1 and 19 are the only factors. And you're going to find that happens on all these problems. You do your T-chart, you're not going to find anything that works, okay? So you need to go to your quadratic formula song, okay? So if you remember, it goes opposite of B, opposite of B, so negative 8. Plus or minus the square root, b squared minus, and then 3 straight parentheses. And then b squared minus 4ac, so b is 8. And then we're always going to have that 4 there, even if the equation doesn't have it. A is 1 and c is 19, okay? And on bottom is 2. Parentheses, and then whatever A is, so it's 1. It goes opposite of B, opposite of B, plus or minus the square root, B squared minus 4AC, B squared minus 4AC over 2A, over 2A. All right, so now with that done, we make that dividing line. We put negative 8 plus or minus, and I don't know what comes out of this square root, but I know that 2 times 1's 2. Okay, so I'm going to actually, if you remember, you could punch the square root on your calculator. If you, after the square root, you want to make 2 parentheses and then 8 to the second power minus 4, 1, and 19, okay? I got domain error, and that's not a surprise. That was supposed to happen, okay? So when your calculator says domain error, punch in the expression, but don't hit square root. Okay, so go parentheses 8 to the second minus 4, 1, and 19. Okay. Okay, I got negative 12. So I put a square root with negative 12 because I didn't put in the square root. Okay, the square root's still there. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, and what we should do on these problems, the reason you got domain error is because you had a negative, and a square root can't be negative. So what we need to do is make it positive and put I, and then I'm going to square root 12 on my calculator, okay? Okay, so 3.46, but it needs to be 3.46 with an I connected. Okay, now, we can't do anything else because this doesn't have I, but this one does, so they're not like terms. So I write my answers by just going negative 8 plus 3.46I with a 2, and then my second answer is negative 8 minus 3.46I over 2. That's what you do when you have non-like terms on the top. Okay, so that says you can't read it very well. Negative 8 plus 3.46I over 2, and negative 8 minus 3.46I over 2. Okay, and that's kind of going to be the theme, okay? So there's two answers, and I have x squared and x both in this equation, so I got multiple powers of x. So I want to try and see if factoring works. And I don't really want you doing with the L's unless you see more than 4 or 5 terms, but these only have 3. Okay, so GCF, again, I don't believe we'd have one. There's nothing we can really divide by. So I'm going to go with my T. 3 times negative 9 is negative 27. I'm looking for a difference of 8, but the problem is that's 26. and then divide by 2 doesn't work, and then 3 and 9. Well, that's not 8 either. It's 6, okay? So neither one of those works, so the T-chart was a fail. So I have my backup plan, my song. So opposite of B, that's 8 plus or minus the square root. B to the second minus 3 parentheses in a row. And then B is going to be negative 8. And then 4. A is 3. C is negative 9. Okay? And then we're going to have 2 times 3. Okay. So I've got 8 plus minus, and then I know 2 times 3 on the bottom, 6. Okay. All right, now I'm going to punch the square root into my calculator again, see what happens. So second square root, double it. Negative 8 to the second minus 4, 3, negative 9. Okay, this time it didn't give me a domain error. It's 3.11, so I'm not going to use I. 13.11. Okay, so if I don't have I, these are like terms, so we need to add them and then divide by 6, and that's 3.51 or 52 when rounded to the nearest hundredth. Okay, and now I can also subtract them. 8 minus 13.11 divided by 6, and that's negative 0.85. Okay, my next problem. Now this one's kind of a pain because you have two answers and you see x squared and x both in this equation. So what we want to do is get it 0. Right now we don't have it, so I can plus 3x. And I would add 3x under the 7x, but now I need to write this so it's in the correct order. The 12x squared has to come first, followed by x, so 7 plus 3 is 10. We got 10 x's, and then we got negative 5. And now I have 0, so now I can go ahead and do my factoring setup. Okay, so we're going to look at that, and you're not going to come across the GCF, okay? Okay, so that's going to be negative 60, so this time I'm looking for a difference of 10, but you can look all day, you ain't going to find it. That's 59, that's 28, 3 and 20, that's a 17 difference. 4 and 15 is an 11 difference. I'm close to 10, but it can't be close. And then 5 and 12, well, that's a 7 difference, so it went over the 10. Okay, so it didn't work, so let's do our song. Opposite of B, be negative 12 plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac. So B is 10, 4, A is 12, and C is negative 5. We don't want to miss that negative 5 or it's going to be something not good. And then 2 times 12. Okay, so what do I have? Well, I have negative 10 plus or minus, and then 2 times 12 is 24. Okay, so I circle that. Second square root, double it. 10 to the second minus 4, 12, negative 5. Okay, I got 18.44, okay? So since there's no I can do what I always do. I'm going to add, because those are like terms on top, and then divide by 24, and that gives me 0.35. And then I minus, divide by 24, and that's negative 1.19. Okay. All right, next one. There are two answers. Okay. And since I have x squared and regular x, we need to clear off this side, so minus 2x, and that would go with my 7x. Minus 3, and that would go with my negative 4. So I got to pay attention to make sure I write this in the correct order. You got to put the negative 5x to the second first, and then your x's. Well, 7x take away 2x gives me positive 5x's. And then negative 4 minus 3 gives me negative 7. Okay. Now, we are going to do a GCF on this one, because we do have a negative in front. So I need to factor out the negative. I'm not going to have x on everything. And 5, 5, and 7 I can't divide down, so I need to put a 1 with my negative and go from there. Okay, we don't want to forget that process. So it's positive 5x squared. That's going to turn to minus 5x, and that's going to turn to positive 7. When you divide by negative, the sign changes. Okay, so 35, sum of 5, that doesn't work, okay? So there's no way. And the only other ones are 5 times 7, okay? So that fails. T-chart's going to fail on all these, okay? So opposite of b, plus or minus the square root, b squared minus 4ac. So negative 5, 4, a is 5, c is 7. And then 2 times 5, okay? So I've got 5 plus minus, 2 times 5 is 10. And I'm going to enter the square root into your calculator. I got domain error, okay? So if I get a domain error, I make a square root, and I'm just going to plug all this stuff without the square root, because there's a reason it's giving us an error, and we have to fix it. Okay, so negative 115. Well, then we need to make that positive and put I out, and now I'm able to find the square root of 115. Okay, so 10.72, but it's 10.72i. Okay, so we can't add. We just need to leave our answer in complex form. So 5 plus 10.72i over 10. And then I switch it to minus 5 minus 10.72i over 10. Okay? All right, guys. All right, that's what I was saying. That you can skip over the rest of the examples and go do the assignment.